Good afternoon, and welcome to the next installment of Insticator's thUp in Conversation Series event. I'm Zack Dugow, founder and CEO of Insticator. Thank you for joining us today. We're thrilled to have Charles Pankey, CRO of Discover TV, here with us today. Welcome, Charles. And before we get started, a little bit about today and thUp. Insticator is committed to advancing equity and diversity within our company and across the digital media ecosystem. We engage people to have deeper understanding of their own unique journeys and sharing those journeys around our core value of unconditional empathy. Our thUp initiative is to bring inspiration for each person carving their professional path through storytelling and conversations, pulls back the curtain so it makes it less scary to understand, wow, how did Charles do that? Oh my gosh, I could try for that too. I could try to strive farther in my career. Each month we sit down with somebody inspirational to hear their voice and their insights and their story. And we look to share that. And so today we have Charles Pankey, CEO of Discovered. Discovered is a globally connected multi-channel video program, an MVPD and social network that aims to disrupt the revenue share paradigm by shifting it towards the creators. Through Discovered, musicians, filmmakers, gaming streamers, esports, and video game developers can generate meaningful revenue by sharing their work globally. We're also excited that we're launching commenting with our partnership with Discovered. And prior to his role as CRO at Discovered, Charles served as CEO of CVP Entertainment, where he produced a television special and charity event starring Kenny Chesney, went on to raise millions of dollars. And Charles Pankey also is the executive produced many television series and concerts domestically, internationally, including in South Africa, the Apollo Theater, as well as in the Apollo Theater in Harlem, And so we hope that you'll join us for all of today and in the future. And so with that, we are recording this webinar, and this is being shared in a web series. And so to kind of kick things off here with some questions here with Charles, I'll be going over these questions with Charles, and then we'll open some things up to a Q&A. So I'd love, Charles, to start to ask you to kind of start from the beginning here. You know, what inspired you as a child, and what kind of influenced you as you think back now? And it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards, not forwards. What influenced you as a child? Maybe you could kind of start there.
Sure. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having Discovered here. So we really appreciate that, Zach. I just wanted to say that at the outset. Talk a little bit about my childhood. It was pretty interesting. You know, I was raised by a single mom, and my mom loved live music. So she took me to concerts all the time with people like Stevie Wonder and the Supremes and James Brown and all those kinds of artists and talent. And so I think that's what gave me my love of live music, which I still have to this day, and what led me to open a concert and event production business. So, you know, that's what that was all about. I also had some inspiration from a couple of teachers, and, you know, I love this session because it really gave me a chance to think back on some great positive things that happened during my childhood. I had two teachers, one that was Black, one that was white, my math teacher and my English teacher. And the math teacher got me on the course of mathematics, which allowed me to do a lot of the things that I've done to this day. And of course, as an entrepreneur and a leader, you have to have a strong command of your language. And so that's, you know, what I've strived for my entire career. So, you know, that's a little bit about it. You know, grew up on the South Side of Chicago, still love Chicago to this day, and am still inspired by a lot of the things that happened to me when I was a small child. So,
wow, that's wonderful. Did you always have like a natural kind of leadership spirit, even when you think back to like your childhood, you know, personality, or where did that kind of take shape for you?
You know, I've always felt that the leader is the one that will do the work that nobody else is willing to do. And I saw my mom doing that a lot when I was a kid, when I was a young boy. You know, you have to be able to pull the string instead of push the string as a leader. And so when I graduated from college, I was all about being the best, being excellent. I was all motivated as a young guy. So, you know, my first major job out of college, I guess, was becoming a stockbroker. And I was able to, because of my attitude of excellence and being the best, I was able to, over the course of a few years, push that to the point where I became the CEO of a market making investment firm, of an institutional market making investment bank. So, that's kind of how I feel about leadership. You gotta wash the bottles, you gotta sweep the floors, you gotta, all the stuff that needs to be done, you gotta get it done as a leader, and you can't be afraid to show the team, hey, I'm gonna do the dirty work. So, if you want to do it along with me, that's great. And if not, that's okay too, because I'm gonna get it done.
I love that. I love that mentality from a leadership standpoint. I try to exhibit that myself, right? Your team, they take from that example. So talk to us a little bit about that. It's so interesting, Charles, that your story, you really kind of became such a leader in the finance world, and then really moved that into like so much of the media ecosystem and the musical ecosystem. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about like was that opportunistic, or how did that kind of come about?
Well, it's first of all, there's no shame in my game, right? So I wanted to tell you that at the outset. But I actually was able to generate enough money that I retired for 10 years. So I stayed at home for a long time. I was a single dad. I had two little children that lived with me, and they were, they needed a lot of attention. And so I decided, at that point, I'd made enough money that I could just stay at home with my kids. And that's what I did for 10 years. So every day walking them to the bus stop and that kind of thing. I think that, what happened was when I decided to make the transition from staying at home to the concert business, I started out with doing a concert for a nonprofit, and with a bassist named Stanley Clark, who is just one of the greatest bass players on the planet. And I did the first concert, we sold it out, it was a huge success, and I'm like, this feels great, I'm gonna do this 300 more times, right? And so I wound up doing it a lot, and then pushed that to the point where, as you mentioned earlier, I was able to do charity events with people like Kenny Chesney, and did shows with groups like the Roots and that sort of thing. Toured in South Africa with bands and festivals on the continent. And so I just fell in love with it and decided to chase it, and that's what I did for a number of years.
Awesome. And so what kind of brought you from kind of getting into from the live sort of music arena into Discovered and all of the exciting innovations that you guys are doing at Discovered TV right now?
Yes, I actually went into the ad tech industry sort of at the same time I was doing the concert business, and learned the ad tech business. And during the course of that, I was managing a young guy. His name is Lucenzo. And at the time, we were looking at Facebook, and Lucenzo had 200 million views of his video on YouTube. Now it's about 1.2 billion. But he had about 200 million views of his video on YouTube, and we weren't making any money. And so we were like, okay, how does this work? So that gave me the inspiration to get involved in ad tech and start to learn about ad tech. And so I worked in the industry in publisher development for about 5 years or so, learned the industry, learned about video player technology, advertising, and the other things that go into that. And so, when I was with Lucenzo, I was always like, one of these days, we're going to figure out a way that we can generate some money from, video and from video ads and so forth. But at that time, it was just monstrously expensive to try to even do this. It was like in 2015, something along those lines. And so, but I always had that thought in the back of my mind. And so about a little over 2 years ago, I felt that it was time. And so I got together with some, friends of mine, some business associates of mine, and we decided that we were going to build a video sharing platform, and we decided that the name would be Discovered because we wanted to discover new talent in music, movies, television, and gaming. So,
gotcha. Yeah, no, that's really exciting and interesting, especially just because you have the perspective of having seen the live music business and bringing that into that digital ecosystem, and through kind of connecting the dots here through ad tech and how those pieces work together. I think that's what's set up Discovered so nicely here for success and growth. Could you talk to us a little bit about the early days of Discovered? What was that like, getting it off the ground, and what are some of kind of those key decisions you had to make in the early days that may have been more challenging? Talk us through a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Zach. Thank you. So at the outset, we had to run, and we still are running, as a very, very lean business. We had some people that were invested in Discovered, not in terms of money, but in terms of their time, their expertise. A group of engineers, developers, our attorneys are just both great people. And so as a result of all those people coming together, it sort of helped to alleviate some of the challenges that we had by not being able to formulate capital. I don't have to tell you, Zach, that it's very challenging for a Black-owned business, let alone a Black-owned technology business, because there aren't a lot of them to be able to formulate capital. But because all these people came together and they saw the vision, they're our crown, they're our glory, and they have actually moved Discovered along to get it to this level. And so that is, those are the kinds of challenges we were able to overcome, because we did have engineering help, we did have development help, and we did have legal and business advice to get us to be able to move forward. But yes, it has been challenging, no doubt.
Yeah, so talking about that, how can legacy publications, especially Black legacy publications, adapt to the times? And could you speak a little bit about some of those challenges, whether it's on like the capital front or execution of the business, and as well as like the importance of first-party data specifically in the publishing ecosystem?
Absolutely. When it comes to first-party data, you've got to be able to acquire some social information about people. And so that's endemic to the Discovered platform, because when a creator comes, we've had thousands of creators signed up already. And so when a creator comes to Discovered, they put all their information in Discovered, their name, their address, their age, their banking information, all those sorts of things come into Discovered so that they can be paid as a result of video ads that are running on their content. As far as the legacy publications are concerned, it's going to be challenging. I'm thinking in the first and second quarter of next year, e-commerce is going to be huge. E-commerce is going to allow you to add some of those first-party data kind of points that you're going to need. I feel like the newsletters that people are sending out are going to be important. Newsletters, blogs, those kinds of things. And then also events, whether it just be a local event or a national event. If you can gather people's information at local events, that's going to allow you to gather some first-party data. As we know, the world's about to be cookieless. And in a cookieless world, you're going to have to come up with some other strategies that are not just, I'm going to drive some traffic and have somebody come over and watch an ad and I'm going to monetize it, because a lot of that business is going to go away in 2022, I believe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting to see how it's smart that you guys are preparing for that, how unfortunately lots of publishers aren't. And that's something that at Insticator, even we're trying to prepare a lot of publishers for the first party data and the importance of first party data and utilizing that first party data to understand your audience and the technology and the identity. A lot of publishers have not yet put that on their roadmap, even though kind of that's coming really by the end of next year. So it's great to hear that you guys are very on the forefront of that.
No, our newsletter went out today. I'll actually send you a copy of it. Our most recent newsletter, I guess I should say. But we also have a social element inside of Discovered too, so that everyone within Discovered can connect with everyone else, message everyone else within Discovered. And then our video player is shareable to all other environments. So at that point, what I'd love to say is, I want to see the thUp channel on Discovered with all the videos that you have in a Discovered video player, so we can feature you in our next newsletter and talk about thUp.
Oh, we'd love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Diana, Monique are on it as they're listening now.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we'd love to have the thUp videos. I went and watched several of them, and it's great stuff. I mean, people can learn from this.
Oh, yeah.
So we need you over there.
That's why, well, hey, we're on board. That's why we do this. That's great. And we're excited about that, Charles.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about the team. So is everybody remote? Was everybody in an office kind of pre-COVID? Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about the team and how do you kind of promote like a really exciting and healthy and dynamic culture within Discovered?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Reading Simon Sinek, one of the things that I've learned is you got to have the circle of safety, right? You have to have, it's familial. When people come to Discovered, I want them to feel like if you come to work at Discovered, you're there for life, right? And you're in that circle of safety, and you're always going to be covered, you're always going to be protected, and your opinions are going to be respected. So, right now we have about 21 people, and that 21 people, some of them, everybody's working remote, first of all, to answer your question. But those people, there are about 4 of the 21 people that are just key advisors and people that we call on to ask their opinion about different things, or, does this part of the roadmap sound good to them? As far as all the engineering and development team, we greatly respect their opinions, and the way we work together is, if you have a question about something that you want to ask me, what I want to do is I want to ask you, what would you do if you were in my shoes? What would you do if you had the choice to do anything that you would like regarding your department or your job? How would you handle it? And then I get that feedback, because what people want a lot of times is they want an endorsement, right? They already know what they want to do, but they want an endorsement. And so we give them the ability to make their own mind up, make their own decisions in their own department, and so forth. And we guide them. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But at the same time, we give them the freedom to make their own decisions about what they're doing within Discovered.
Okay. Wow. That sounds like really empowering, fun place to work.
Empowerment, that's a great word. That's what we love, empowerment.
Simon Sinek, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So talk a little bit, Charles, this is now, would you say this is like your third company, your fourth business that you've been a part of?
It's actually the third, technically. The first was the brokerage, then concert events and production. Then I went to work for some other folks to learn the ad tech business, and they taught me very well. And so then I came back and decided to do Discovered.
So what can entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of underrepresented communities, what would you like to share specifically as like a superpower of yours, you feel like is a superpower that could be tapped into more to help them kind of achieve more success?
Sure. Well, superpower, when I think of superpowers, I always think of like endurance, speed, agility, what are the, light beams that come out of your eyes. But the superpower is the capability to do this and be able to do it as a bootstrap business, right? One of the challenges that a lot of Black entrepreneurs have is, and I mentioned this earlier, is you don't have access to capital. So you've got to be able to bootstrap the business from, top to bottom. And so I think that that's really important. In bootstrapping a business, what occurs is, because you've not sold all your equity at an early stage, you've given yourself the capability to hopefully take advantage of the valuation that will come down the road from the sacrifice that you made earlier on, okay? And so, I would say that the superpower should be the ability to sacrifice and just gut it out until you can get to the point where you can take advantage of the equity that you have. You can, that tenacity, that perseverance, those are superpowers that it takes to get to, to cross the Jordan, right? So when you get to the point that you can gut it out and you can bootstrap it and hang in there, that's going to take you to another level. And that's a superpower that you need.
Speaking of hanging in there, it's been quite the interesting last 2 years, obviously.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Talk to us a little bit about, what was that like, for our audience here, running Discover during COVID, and what were some of the adjustments you guys had to make, or what are some things even that, I like to say in business, you never let a good crisis go to waste, because it always gives you an opportunity. There's always opportunities coming out of that. What are some things that you've looked to take advantage on kind of post coming out of COVID now, or things that you're seeing, and what that experience of kind of running Discover during COVID, what's that been like?
It was challenging because during COVID, I like to get into rooms with people. I like to have face-to-face meetings. The way that I met you is the best way that you can possibly meet somebody. You go to a conference, you go to a convention, you meet somebody, you build rapport with them. And so not having the capability to travel, to go to events, to go to conferences, conventions, and all that, it made it a lot more challenging for Discover in terms of, the gestation period that we went from startup to here, right? And so I think that was really important. However, to ping back on what you said, never let a good crisis go to waste, we have become much more aggressive about our business. One of the things we thought is, with COVID, we need to make sure desktop is on point, mobile web is on point. We built our iOS app, we built an Android app, and we're about to launch with Samsung on 150 million plus televisions globally. So we just became aggressive, and just like, okay, people are going to be at home, they're going to be watching streaming services, and we got to be prepared to deliver that content in every possible way that we can. In Q1, you're going to see a Fire Stick app from Discover, as well as a Roku app. And then we have kind of finished our technology roadmap, if you will, in terms of all the ways that we want to distribute content. So just want to be really aggressive right now.
Nice. So, speaking about, as we're speaking and talking about your journey and what you feel like different entrepreneurs and leaders and executives can do, I was curious a little about, like, Charles, who do you look up to? Who has really inspired you in your career specifically, that's kind of helped you in your path up?
Wow, that's a great question. I got to say my wife, right? Because, she's been with me through thick and thick, right? I mean, you gotta give the family props. I mean, the family is all important. The family can look at you and say, okay, you're absolutely insane. You're going to give up your 6-figure job and you're going to go and do this thing and not get paid for 2 years. I mean, are you kidding me? So So you got to give props to the family first. You know, this is going to be a little bit old school, but a guy that I love and a book that I read that gave me huge inspiration was a book about John Johnson, who was the CEO, publisher, et cetera, of Ebony magazine. I mean, that guy came to the South Side Chicago. He didn't have 2 cents to rub together, and he built a publishing empire in Chicago. And it wasn't easy for him. And so just love that guy. Just in terms of tenacity, perseverance, and all that, I got to say Steve Jobs. I mean, you know, Steve Jobs he's another one that, you know, that guy went through a lot, and just love him, think he's a great guy, and it's just a great example for all entrepreneurs and all business people. So I would say those are probably the 2 key people. I mean, there's many others. I mean, I love Dale Carnegie, for instance, and there are a lot of Simon Sinek, and there are a lot of other writers that I love and people that I like. But just in terms of business, I would say those 2 stand out to me the most.
Yeah, that's helpful. Speaking of family, and you were talking about your wife kind of being such a rock for you. Do you find, or any advice on that front, do you find it's really difficult to balance kind of family needs and business needs, or have you any kind of secret sauce there?
Yeah, and you know, I was going to talk about this a little bit. One of the challenges that I had as a young guy, because I did have a lot of success when I was in my mid-20s to mid-30s, right? It was ego, hubris, you know, thinking you're the master of the universe, you know, all those kinds of things, you know, a lack of humility. And so I think if you can become humble, if you can set aside a lot of the ego that you feel, it helps you to have a better relationship with your wife and with, you know, your family in general. So you just want to tamp down all those feelings of, you know, being egotistical and not, you know, and just being humble, you know, just having a humble spirit about you. I think that's really important. And I still struggle with that to this day. I mean, you know, everybody struggles with anxiety, with fear, with, you know, a lot of different things that come after you and attack you. But I think if you just relax and you stay humble, you got to consider the fact that the battle's already won. That's important.
I think that's really great. That's really thoughtful and really great advice. Thank you, Charles. That's super, super helpful. Lastly, could you just talk a little bit more about what do you see as like the biggest opportunities for entrepreneurs from underrepresented communities in their path up, especially over the next 5 years, as you think out to 2026 and beyond? What are some of the things that you feel like need to be on people's radars, that they need to be focused on, that can help them grow and scale in their careers?
Sure. No, you know, we've had some tremendous support, some tremendous corporate support. I want to call out Amazon for one, because Amazon has been a huge supporter, I've discovered, and they continue to support us and continue to send amazing stuff our way in terms of technology and, you know, development, engineering, all the kinds of things that we really need. In terms of what needs to be on the radar, fingers crossed, there seems to be a lot of new social justice awareness that's going on out there in the marketplace. And so I think entrepreneurs need to be able to dig into that. You know, we're members of the National Minority Supplier Development Council. They have a tremendous number of contacts and leads for, you know, minority entrepreneurs. They have probably 200 of the Fortune 500 that are members that you can connect with. So I think that that's really important. But, you know, and Coke, for instance, like you take a look at Coke, they're saying they have $500 million for businesses, from, Black-owned businesses and so forth over the next 5 years, which kind of matches the timeline that you're talking about. So I think you need to be aggressive. You need to go out there. You need to find out which organizations, which corporations have resources that they can assist entrepreneurs. And I think that that's, you got to just explore those leads, track them down, and get involved with those people, just like we did with Samsung, just like we've done with Amazon and other businesses that we're involved with Discovered. So I think that's what's going to happen in the next 5 years. I think that, and I also have to be honest with myself in that we've sort of seen this before and it didn't stick. And so with George Floyd and some of the other things that have happened over the last couple of years, I'm hoping that this social justice movement and this movement to assist Black entrepreneurs in building their businesses and moving them into the future is going to persist. But we'll see what happens with that. Love to see it, but again, we've had it before and it didn't stick around. It seems like you have to have some huge event that happens to bring it back around again. And I hope we're past that in the United States. I really do, and globally.
Yeah, fortunately, right. It seems like people have short memories. Hopefully that's not the case.
Yep, no doubt.
So just to talk a little bit more, what do you, from a personal perspective, what are you looking forward to most this coming year? Well, both personally and professionally, as we're kind of wrapping up 2021, what are you looking forward to for this coming year?
I'm looking forward to winning. No. Yeah, I mean, this year, 2022, I'm looking forward to winning. And I'm looking forward to really allowing a lot of creators through our Discovered platform to be able to make a good living. And, statistically, most video creators off of their video creation and content live at poverty level or below. They don't really have the capability to make a real living out of it. And I'm talking 99.9% of the people out there. You got to think about the fact there's 50 million creators just in North America, right? And so very, very few of them make a living. So I'm looking forward to assisting a lot of them in making a living. And I think that's my biggest get for 2022. The other thing that I'm looking forward to in 2022 is the ability to travel again, take a long vacation. I want to have a better and deeper relationship with my family and everything, all the folks in my family. I think that's really important. And for all entrepreneurs, as well as for myself, I want to have that sense or that feeling of believing in something bigger than myself. I don't want to get spiritual on you or anything. You could, one of the things I believe in is bigger than myself is the capability to help people all around the world make a living, but, deepening that feeling of, just wanting to connect with something that's bigger than Discovered or that's bigger than Charles Pankey. And I think that's really important. And that's what I want to achieve in 2022. So.
Yeah, no, Charles, I think it's very noble and something that hopefully more and more people strive to have an impact on globally. That's for sure. So before we'd open up to question, Charles, anything else you'd like to share? Any other kind of thoughts or ideas or anything?
No, I think, you kind of drained me from all the thoughts that I had. I've been thinking about this. It's been a long time since I've done something like this. So I just want to, again, thank you for shining a spotlight on Discovered and our team. And, we're excited about the future. And we're also excited about our relationship with Insticator. So, we're going to make it happen, man. That's the deal.
Yeah, we're excited about working with you guys on the commenting side and driving engagement for Discover, which is a really exciting time. All right, Charles. So just open up to some Q&A. We have a couple questions here, and please submit them in. So our first question here is, where should Black creators go to create alliances online that you feel like are really places that can help them kind of help scale in their business, as well as other avenues from a creative and tech collaboration standpoint?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, on Discovered, you can collaborate with just about everybody that's on Discovered, and that would be a great place to start. One of the things that I want to say about Black creators, Black businesses, and et cetera, we're disparate, but we're not as disconnected as we think we are. So, in 2022, I would look to conferences, conventions, events, things that I can attend at a pretty low price point, if you will. So I'm not breaking the bank to go out and do those kinds of things. But you really have to connect with people that you see out there that are doing it. Do some research, and certainly anyone that asks that question would be more than welcome to reach out to me and reach out to Discovered and have a more detailed online conversation about it, or a more detailed email conversation.
Awesome. That's really great, Charles. Other questions that we have here from the audience? I see we have one other question that came. So, Charles, could you talk about what was one of your biggest, let's just call them like challenges you had to overcome, or mistakes that you were able to learn from in your business career? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I have to go back to the fact that I was just really egotistical, and I had to overcome that challenge. I mean, that was really, really important. The other thing that I had to overcome was I had to learn, and this took some time, but I had to learn how finance works, how the financial services industry works. There's a great book that I always recommended to people to read if they wanted to know that, and it's How to Buy Stocks. It's probably in its 30th iteration or whatever, but the How to Buy Stocks book will give you some high-level insights about finance. And I think to really be a successful entrepreneur, you have to have some some information, some knowledge about finance.
Great. So bringing it here to our next question, any thoughts on how Alexa technology will impact the video streaming ecosystem, or like Alexa, Google Home, those types of products?
Well, we actually have, our product is built to be identical to Twitch, very much like Twitch. So as far as the live streaming portion of Discovered is concerned. And so that's what we've been focused on. I'm not super familiar with the Alexa product that you're talking about, but I will definitely dig into that. But on Discovered, we have full live streaming and the capability to implement ads into the live stream. And so that's what our live streaming product is all about. In addition to people being able to go in, upload their video content, that sort of thing, connect with other people, share their video content all over the place. You can also stream live on Discovered with a request.
So to that, Charles, actually our next question is, how long does it roughly take to onboard a new creator in Discovered and get them up and running?
It takes about 5 minutes to build an account, upload your content if you're on a broadband connection, and then you can start to share from the Discovered video player out into your social. You can share to every social. So to build a page on Discovered and to get it all set up and get your video content in there, no more than 10 minutes and maybe as little as 5 minutes. So it's a very fast process once you go in there and you sign up.
And what do you recommend, Charles, in terms of like either daily, weekly, or monthly content cadence? Is that just the more the better, or is there kind of a certain threshold for new creators for Discover that you guys recommend?
Well, I don't want to bring up the YT word, but I am going to bring it up. So on YouTube, the average very successful creator loads a new piece of content about every 3 days. So they load about 100 videos that they make up a year. I'm not saying that you need that kind of volume because that's a tremendous amount of volume for the average person, but you definitely need to refresh your content at least a couple of times a month, I would say, to get more recognition, get in the pool. And one of the things that you want to be aware of is with this Samsung launch, every single person on Discovered, like thUp, will have their own channel on Samsung. So I think that's really important to know that you can launch your own channel for free, doesn't cost you anything. That's what we're all about.
Nice. Well, I know we're all looking forward to when Discovered is bigger than YT. So hopefully that's coming around.
Me too.
That's coming around the bend. All right, great. We have a bunch of other questions here. How do you handle the frustrations that come with investment capital and funds you feel like aren't as focused on BIPOC businesses, especially in tech, where you feel like you're not getting that fair shot? How have you handled that?
Yeah, that's a tough question and a tough area of this business. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. We have just continued to push forward. I have to go back to the circle of safety again. We've kept everybody on board that we currently have, and we are going to prove this model. And so once this model is fully proven, at that point, they're going to have to finance Discovered, right? You're not going to be able to not get involved when it gets to the tipping point. And we're not far from that tipping point right now. So it was really just a matter of tenacity and perseverance, and that's how we've handled it. Just gutted it out.
Yeah. So there's another question. Do you guys make it at Discovered, make it easy for creators to kind of port over from other platforms like YT or other ones? Or is it more just kind of they can easily upload and that makes it simple in terms of getting their content into Discovered?
Yeah, we have a mechanism whereby you can upload up to 10 videos at a time on Discovered. So a lot of creators have 100 videos. And so in the case of someone that has a lot of video content, we have the system built so that it will allow them to upload a lot of content at once. There's no limit to the size of a piece of content on Discovered. So we tried to make that as easy as we possibly could for folks, as far as that's concerned. So yeah, we've put tools into place. And then once you have everything uploaded, your dashboards should be very easy to follow. The number of ads that have run on your content and everything that you can see inside of your dashboard on Discovered should make your journey pretty easy.
Nice. And so we have another question here. When you look at the Discovered platform, are there some specific niches or areas that you feel like are really unexplored or underserved in terms of the videos being produced, and areas that you think are like really exciting areas for Discovered to grow in? We just got to there's going to be more creators coming in and areas you'd love to see grow.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a generic answer to that question, but generally content of 12 minutes or longer. That's what seems to be the sweet spot for monetization on Discovered. The other thing that Samsung is looking for particularly is any longer form content. And so I think longer form content is going to be featured. We still want music videos, don't get me wrong. I mean, we want to have people come in and put up 5-minute videos too. That's not an issue. But longer form content seems to be the sweet spot in terms of monetization.
Got it. So we have a question here just on that. So that in the video ads being run, do the creators get to partake in that? Is that a part of the business model?
That is the business model. We share 50-50 with the creator for the advertising, the video advertising that runs on their content. That's so, that's our business model. I just saw an article from Instagram, and the article said, if you give us 56 million video views, we'll pay you $35,000. And we looked at that and we were just kind of shaking our heads because we're like, okay, 56 million video views is a 60-cent CPM, right? We're looking to pay people $3 to $6. And then on connected television to pay even more. So hopefully that'll be enough of an incentive for a lot of people to join Discovered as we market it and we get it out there and more people find out about Discovered.
And I think that's got to be, that's so important that message gets out there is don't load your videos into Instagram and Facebook and YT when you can have partake in such a bigger part of that revenue pie and then put more into their creating and producing of their video content. So, that's why we're excited to host thUp and Discovered, and everybody listening in should be getting on the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. No doubt.
So Charles, we're just about to wrap up here. I wanted to speak for everybody when I say thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We're super excited about it and super excited about the Insticator partnership with Discovered and everything that you guys are doing. We're big fans, and we really appreciate it. Anything else? Any kind of closing message you'd love to leave the audience with?
Love yourself, love your family, have a great holiday, and looking forward to seeing everybody on Discovered.
All right. Thanks again,
Okay.
Charles. Thanks, my friend. Take care. Thank you, everybody, for cluing in, and we'll be in touch soon. And just finally here, I just want to say that we'll be posting all this video into social media and onto Discovered. And so we're excited. Please share that. And thanks again, Charles. And I hope everybody has a great, wonderful rest of the day and the week.